Set.
Okay.
Okay. I have 7:03. So why don't we have a pledge of allegiance and then we will begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Tonight, we have the pleasure of getting a budget presentation from our new first Selectwoman, Anne Marie. So in terms of formatting, I think the most efficient way to go through this is to turn it over to Anne Marie, and then I'm not sure what order or how you want to present, Anne Marie, but then if we can go through the expense side, and for especially where there's significant changes, and then anything on the revenue side. I think what we want to do tonight is get an understanding of what's here from your perspective. And then, as I said, we're going to have another get together on Wednesday, and we have next Monday and Wednesday set aside also. So and I will ask the board to please run the questions through the chair. And also, considering this is Anne Marie's first time in this situation, I trust we will all be well-mannered and behaved and be nice to her, which, is what I think everybody will be anyway. So in that regard, take it away, Anne Marie.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon.
And if you're not talking, myself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. As you are aware, I started off as the first selectman in October of 2020, and I've been working nonstop to learn the town's in and outs and helping improve processes in town. Even though I've been on the Board of Selectmen since 2007 and the Deputy Selectman, First Selectman for the past 2 years, it's still different sitting into the First Selectman seat, learning the ins and outs, learning the department heads, and learning how the town operates. As everybody knows or may not know, I have a background in environmental health and safety, and with that, I hope to use my strengths to move the town forward. So please please bear with me. This is my first budget, and I jumped right in while learning the processes of everyone and everything in every department. This was a team effort. We've had many meetings with department heads. We've had many meetings one-on-one, and I just want to emphasize that this was done as a team. I will do my best to answer any questions you may have. If I can't answer them tonight, I will get back to Bill Sawicki with the answers. I have my notes, so I'm looking down at my notes in case you're wondering why I'm not looking directly at you. I first would like to address the current year overview with the general fund analysis, and I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Where you go? I don't know where my thing went. Hold on. I'll have to go back in here. Hold on. My computer blocked out. Wrong one. So as you can see, this is our budget for the 2021-2022. I'm sure Doug sent all this paperwork over to you. So we've had an unprecedented challenge with COVID, which has led to savings in some places and additional costs in others. For example, the community services expenses are down because of decreased programming, but so are the corresponding programs, fees, and revenues. If our community center is not open, we're not able to have any events. And with not having any events going on, we can't charge and have any revenue coming in from there. I'm very pleased to say, however, that the projection shows we're trending very close to our budget. Our health insurance is a big cost for us. We started at a 13% placeholder and negotiated down to 8%. Chris Pelosi, our HR manager, had a big hand in this, working with Doug Thomas on that as well. There's a lot of retirements due to COVID. Realize the saving that leads to increase in retiree healthcare. Residential garbage usage is up almost 10%. And that's due to people staying home, doing a lot of cooking at home, ordering in. So the trash is up on the residential side, but it's down on the commercial end. Retirement costs are set by the state and continue to increase annually. The police accountability bill led to more unfunded mandates from the state, driving costs up. Our fund balance is down, as you will see. Our fund balance has gone down, but the budget is used from prior years, and that was as planned, right? We still have not received the Chatfield grant reimbursement. Doug will be speaking with Sherry tomorrow. She was on vacation today. So Doug and I had a conversation with Mike Wilson together today, and Mike said Sherry will be in tomorrow. So Doug will be having that conversation to get all the paperwork going on the grant money in case she has not filed it yet. We have not gotten a clear answer on that. Recreation's costs are down. We didn't have a summer camp. No programs were held. Interest revenues are lower than anticipated due to the market. On the other hand, the Economic Development, Department of Public Works, and PD and Rec all have returning surpluses. On our debt services, remains low after years of work. Our current profile allows us to feather in debt as necessary. Bear in mind, the budget reflects contingencies made by this board last year due to COVID. If you remember, we put a spending freeze in place and we took the money out. So as you notice, our debt service is going down. And we're continuing to trend down on our debt profile. If we can go to the budget. So as you saw with my budget, we're able to, even though we had the re-eval assessment go in, our budget was currently at a 36 mil net grand. Our property tax is now will be with my budget at a 34.74 mil on the net grand. That is a reduction in the mill rate of 1.75. Any questions on that? Bill? I guess not.
No, I had to unmute myself. No, so I mean, so far I get the numbers, and I'll just keep chugging along, and we'll have the questions towards the end, I would assume.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go over the highlights and go into my budget if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead, please.
Great. So I'm going to go into the department by department. Board of Finance has stayed the same. We can't really change that, as well as the selectmen's. I would like to touch base on the economic development, though. The EDC, and I hope to fill the ED director's position sooner rather than later. We have that position in at $45,000, and that's a part-time position. We are beginning to see that COVID, from a business standpoint, is starting to step down. Businesses are starting to open up. People are starting to become more active in the businesses. We're starting to see more people downtown shopping as well. I would like to have the Board of Selectmen talk about this come May or June, to have, maybe even April, to start looking at hiring a part-time EDC director, and to start getting people in and looking, and let them know that Seymour is open for businesses. This is funded part-time. If we see it's impactful, we may ask for a full-time position come down the road. There are several ways we can look at it. We can hire somebody temporarily, part-time, under 20 hours to come in. We don't have to pay them any benefits. Or we can go through the Naugatuck Valley COG, and we can use it as a regionalized person, sort of like we do with our planner.
Is that too loud?
Our town planner, as well as through the Valley COG, we are using more hours with him. We currently have him up to 50 hours, but he's doing more work. He's working with our land use board, and what we have done is we've looked at all the properties that we have open, and they're able to see if they could be used as a mixed use, commercial or industrial, commercial, residential, industrial, residential. So it makes it seem more and more attractive to them. The best thing about having the Valley COG cover our planner as well as our EDC director is we don't have to worry about healthcare benefits for them. So that's a savings to the town. For our technology, we have now, I don't know if anybody saw our press release, we now offer free Wi-Fi outside the community center in the library parking lots. It's available to the residents. It was a pilot program sent out by the state. It's for a year. This pilot program's for a year. It will not cost the town, the residents, or the business people any money, extra money. And even going forward, if this continues, it still will not cost the residents or the town any money. We continue to improve and focus on investments. Overhaul. We have an overhaul of our new phone system in the town buildings, which include all the schools, which was a vast improvement and less expensive. This was a huge undertaking, and every year yields savings and increased productivity. Rob Dyer needs to take credit for this. He constantly looks for ways to improve and to use his services throughout the town and the school. There is a fantastic collaboration with the Board of Ed along with other shared positions. We have hired, as you know, Tim Connors and Rob Dyer. Tim Connors is our facilities director and Rob Dyer is our IT personnel. By hiring Tim Connors and Rob Dyer to do cross functions between the Board of Ed as well as the town, it has saved the town more than what their salaries combined has been. And the way I say this, and the reason why I say that is simply because with Tim, we're no longer sending things out for contractors to come in and fix it. Tim has our employees that specialize in certain things to do it. If something needs to be painted, we're not hiring a painter to come in and paint it. We're using our custodial and facility staffs to paint. If we need to do something with our boiler system, we have somebody who specializes in the HVAC division. So where we're spending more money in overtime, it may seem, we're actually spending less money on contractors. So it's a savings by having them. Our new website is close to completion. It's newly functional, and that is in our IT department. New functions, we're able to post meetings. Beforehand, we're also able to post our Zoom links, and we can post the packets prior to the meeting. This will help us from an environmental standpoint as doing a reduce and reuse. So we're not printing as much paper and throwing it out. So it'll help us on our trash end as well. We moved some recurring costs out of the capital budget as a 5-year lease for our copiers or on printers. They're now going into department budgets instead of our capital plan. And we continue to make systematic approaches from an economic scale like the Board of Ed, purchasing things through the Board of Ed on the state bid list, such as computers, paper towels, tissues, items as such is much cheaper for the town to purchase through the school than it is for us to go out and purchase it on our own. So having the cross function of having Tim and Rob both work for the town and work for the school has been a cost savings that way as well. The infrastructure investments have improved the reliability and resiliency. Before Rob, the internet went down once a week. Now it hardly ever goes down. In efficiency ways is saying a building permit is issued by the building department and they entered into the computer. Joe, the assessor, now gets a notification that there's a new permit that has been put in, and he can now take that and attach it to a field card instead of them writing out a ticket, putting it into Joe's mailbox and waiting for it to be entered into the field notes on the card for a resident. This way the system is constantly being updated and it's in real time. We continue to be a model for other municipalities, especially in the IT and shared services. Any questions so far? In the
No, but I think we're good.
good. In the police department, you'll see that there is an increase in the deputy chief's salary. This is for 2 deputy chiefs. Right now, the commission is looking to replace a deputy. Replace the chief, as has been said. We're going to be replacing the chief and bringing on another deputy, and with hopes to have this deputy that's coming in step under the chief and learn his role and help in going forward when the new one comes in. So that's why the deputy chief salary shows $157,625. what this is we're not going to bring in a new deputy chief. If one deputy chief is making $102,000, we're not going to bring the new deputy chief in making the same amount as he is, because that's just not financially feasible. And if that deputy chief's been in that position for 3 years, why would we start somebody at that high end? They're going to stepping in as a lower end and then slowly being moved up. We also instituted a comp time procedure. So if somebody is called in, a police officer is called in for special duty and that's overtime for them, that goes towards a comp time. Instead of being paid the overtime, he'll add hours up. And what that does is they have a 40-hour rolling average. So once they hit 40 hours, they can use it as a comp time and be paid out, and we will not be paying overtime. The fire department, this is the first time we've actually included them in a capital discussion. We're working to connect them to a strategic plan so we can better plan a capital investments for them. We removed their current request that they had put into their budget. They had a surplus of this year's budget, so we had them buy it this year, and we'll move their request into next year's capital plan. For the Department of Public Works, the selectmen took over the cemetery on Derby Avenue, so we had a seasonal request for that. They had to increase their seasonal help. Getting down to them. There we go. So they want to increase in their seasonal help, which will help maintain the cemetery. We also included highway maintenance and road lining requests. Was not included in the past by the director, but now is. On the streetlights, this is their first year of maintenance contract. The maintenance costs exceeded the expectations due to some storms and a backlog of work. We've had a lot of storms come in, and they've taken out the lights, and we've had to have new lights put back in. It's still a large saving overall before when we purchased from Eversource. On to the Board of Ed. If I can find them. On the Board of Ed, I cut their bottom line so they would be more responsible in a discretionary spending. And given the uncertainty that we in, I cut the budget by $190,000, making their budget equal to where they were last year. It's important to say they also received over $1 million this year in COVID funds from the state, and are in line to potentially receive an additional $500,000 from the state for COVID relief. Those were my big items in the plan.
Okay. A question, if I can, Anne Marie, on the Board of Ed.
Yep.
And maybe I misheard you, and I apologize for that. You said you put the Board of Ed number at where they were last year?
Yes, I did.
I'm looking at, unless I've got a different printout, my printout is their budget was 34,670,000. And I have under your column 35,363,000. Am I looking at a bad printout? I should have something else.
No,
Excuse me, but I believe she meant that she put the same percentage as last year,
yes.
which is a 2% increase.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. 2.5%, almost 2.6. Okay, yeah. As I said, I heard that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't looking at something that was incorrect.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Anything else you want to add, Anne Marie, at all on any topics, departments, numbers?
Sure.
Whatever.
Our capital plan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go. No, take it away.
Here's our long-term capital plan. We held off on capital projects due to the COVID, and the tax revenue was good. So we're going to move forward. As you know, we went into a spending freeze last year. We took everything that we had and we just put it on hold. But now that our collection rate is going up, there are things in our capital plan that we need to improve to continuing to move the town forward. We continue to invest in our Department of Public Works fleet with a new dump truck. Our gas boy is our gas tank system at the Department of Public Works, and it's used for all municipal vehicles, ambulance, fire trucks, police vehicles, in-town vehicles. The software is obsolete and it's barely functioning. The price is for the software and the tanks. Right now, we're just looking to do the software. We're having the tanks, they're going to be hydrostatic tested to see if they're any good. So we may be able to save some money there as well. We received $128,000 in a steep grant for the Department of Public Works storage buildings. That's to protect our investments. The estimate is about $200,000. We're going to use $18,000 from last year allocated for storage, and we're allocating another $50,000 in capital to hopefully cover the costs. The police dash and body cams are coming in and under the accountability bill. We're unsure of the cost, so we put $90,000 in because we have to buy them by July 1st. And we're hoping to use any savings towards the gas boy to cover the difference. That's all I have.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm looking, in looking at the 21-22 budget where we are,
Mhm.
here we are. I want to go back because I got a whole stack of papers here, and I'm sure everybody else does too. But if we're looking just to follow on that, let's see. Fire, parks, police. I'm looking down the cap and non-recurring budget on the printout. Doug, when you rerun these, would you please put page numbers on them? It makes it a lot easier to follow. But in looking down
Okay.
the list that I have, I don't see, unless I've missed it, the police, the body cams.
Okay.
Is it in another different line item someplace?
So on our long-term cap.
Because
gas
if we're
and
funding
body
it,
cam,
the cap-
50,000 for 2021. It's right above fire. Let me see if I can get
fire.
my screen back up.
It's the annual,
'Cause I'm looking at the
300,000.
general
It's
fund,
included in that.
just to make sure I understand it. I'm looking on the general fund, the total capital and non-recurring budget. And there's 383,000 under the first Selectwoman's budget versus 404 under the department requests. But I don't see in the 410, 530 line items, I don't see the body cams in here. Am I looking in the wrong place? Because the capital and non-recurring is what usually funds
It's in our long-term.
the capital plan, unless,
Bill, it's in the long-term capital plan.
yeah,
I'm looking at the long-term capital plan and it's right above fire. It says, the police front parking lot, new fencing, new carpeting repair. I don't know if you have this package, the vest replacement, update policy and procedures for accreditation, signage, dash and body
Yeah.
cam.
I think that should correlate to how much the general fund is expected to contribute towards it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to
Hey,
share your
Bill?
screen again on, yeah, Doug.
Under debt service, we have the capital plan, the 300,000 that we contribute each year. And
Ah.
that's where the 90,000 is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that line. Okay. Cap projects, 20, 21, 22, 300,000. Okay. Now I think we're okay. Looking in, that's why I said I thought I was looking in the wrong spot. Okay. Anne Marie, can you put that cap plan up again, the worksheet you just showed us for a second? Because I don't have a copy here. I don't see it. That doesn't mean I don't. It doesn't mean I didn't lose it, but I don't have it to put my fingers on. And if Doug, maybe you can send that out to the board after, tomorrow in the morning or something, just so we all have it.
Okay. It should be with her budget, but
Yeah, I mean, I printed off everything that was
I think it's on
there.
the last page.
It is on the last page, whoever said that.
And I'm looking. Yeah,
Can everybody see it?
yep. Okay. Okay, so we've got 21, 22, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hey, Doug,
yes,
the capital, because we're paying for this, not out of bond, I'm assuming we're not bonding for this. This is what we're going to pay out of the general fund, right?
yes.
That line that you have under bond purchase and principal for the 300, for purposes of the budget, that 300 needs to be moved to like the page before it, to Department 530, capital non-recurring. Because
Okay, we can move it.
we don't have any bonded debt associated with that 300. And if the intention is to pay it out of the general fund, that's okay. We just want it in the right, classified in the right spot. Which is fine. Okay. Let me throw this out to the board. Does off of what Anne Marie has told us about the various departments and the line items, does anyone have any questions to ask her? Anybody at all?
Bill, I have a
Quiet
question. This
audience.
is Jim. Bill, I have a question. Jim
Go ahead, Jim.
Is
Yep, go ahead.
the police
Yep.
chief, is the police chief, Stowski leaving? His contract is over, I guess, or?
I can't really speak on that right now.
But there's gonna be a police chief in that position.
Yes.
Matter who's there? Okay. Second question, if I could. They're getting a scale. I guess it was 40,000 last year, 40,000 this year. They're gonna install it this year.
At Public Works, yes, there's actually a meeting tomorrow on that. We're going to be installing a scale, and what that scale is going to do, it's going to give us true and accurate readings of what is coming in when the trash haulers are bringing in their trash, as well as they're leaving, so we can take the tickets and we can compare it to what we're being charged at by Covanta.
Right, that's at the transfer station, correct?
Correct.
I guess there was,
And
you
that-
can
that
close
has
the
been a-
charter, right?
What was
Yeah, that
that?
has been a long talked about project, which is good that
Right.
we're finally taking a step to do it. And that can only help the town.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
To keep an eye on the trash hauler. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to direct to Anne Marie? Anybody at all?
I think, Bill, I think it's great. And I would just reiterate that numbering the pages would help us keep on track with following, even though it's shared.
I agree with the numbering part, honest. Because I have a tendency to lose things, and if I ever drop this packet of paper, I'm in big trouble. Okay. Anything, Anne Marie, that you want to go through in detail at all about the revenue side of this? Because what I think the plan of attack is, what I'd like to do is we can start some discussion and deliberation tonight.
Uh-huh.
And then because he also, Doug has emailed out the questions with the answers that we've asked during these various meetings and deliberations and department interviews. So I think, has everyone had a chance to go through that? Those questions with the answers, the answers are in blue, the questions are in red, that type of thing. Has anyone had a chance to look through this?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Anne Marie, if you have anything you want to go through on revenue, state assistance, I know you've touched on property taxes,
Yep, so as we all
but
know,
anything else?
as we know, the assessments were done, and assessments are required by law to be done every 5 years. Some of our residents, their taxes have gone up, their assessments have gone up, some of the assessments have gone down, some have stayed the same. What the assessor had said in speaking with him, that we've noticed the bigger assessments have been on raised ranches and smaller homes, as that is what everybody is looking to purchase nowadays, instead of the bigger houses. So unfortunately, some people's, due to the assessment, some people's taxes will go up and some people's taxes will go down and some people's taxes will stay the same, even with the mill rate dropping. What we have to understand is our revenue, the school has received funding from the state in regards to COVID, and we're not allowed to dictate to them how they can spend the money. And they sent us a list on how they spent the money, and they are in line to receive another $500,000, which I think it's great the state wants to help the schools in that way. Our revenues through the town we've noticed in the police department, as the pistol permits have been skyrocketing out of the higher than they have been in the past 5 years. We received more pistol permit applications going on than anything. Unfortunately, because COVID hit a year ago this week, imagine that, we were not able to offer summer camps for parents. We were not able to have any programming at the community center for our children or our elderly or any residents. The weight room has been closed, so we've lost revenue on the community center side. We're hoping that we have now opened the community center, even though it's limited, and we're hoping by April that everything will be up and running, full service, and we'll be able to start making the money on the community center, and programmings and summer camps are going to be held, and biddy basketball and everything else through the rec. So get the kids back to some sort of normalcy that they need to have, as well as the parents. Parents need some normalcy as well.
Okay. Anyone on the revenue side or any questions at all to ask Anne Marie about? I think, so I think one of the things we're looking at, once Doug moves the number over for the capital, we've got that 300 and we've got the other 383 that's already in the budget. Things like roof replacement, town building repairs, public works, roads, reval, things like that. So I think we've got some of that, which fleet replenishment, the ambulance payment, community center, townwide newsletter. Hey, Doug,
Yes.
in the cap and non section, the 410, 530, two things of note. We have the community center newsletter. That's at 15,000, the budgeted number.
Yes.
That needs to go under the community center. because it is not a capital, non-recurring item. That newsletter is an active thing that goes on a couple times a year, and cap and non is basically your big capital and maintenance repairs, and community center newsletter is not, doesn't fall into that bucket. The annual ambulance payment, you can set it up under town contributions or something, but that is not a cap and non-expense either. Doug?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll move them. Yeah, just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it.
Oh. No, I thought I just did. The community center newsletter goes under the community center,
Yeah,
and the ambulance payment goes under the town contributions.
okay.
The question, one of the questions that I had is, we have under town contingency, we have payroll accrual 71,000. Can I ask what that is?
I can take that one. That is for, we're in the middle of doing contracts for Public Works as well as the clerks union. So we put what we thought would be the increases in there.
Gotcha. Thank
You don't
you.
want to put that in the budget and have somebody see and say, oh, well, that's how much we're going to get. So it takes away our negotiating process by putting it in there.
No, as I said, I just saw it, and I just, again, I just wanted to make sure I understood what was in there. Let's see, as I go through some of the other stuff. Under the finance department, we've got, it says salary, part-time payroll with a number 1, which I guess it's one person.
Mhm.
And the request from the department's 28.9. The first Selectwoman's budget is 24.2. Is that got to do with the timing of anticipating filling the position?
No, I had asked for more hours and she put it back at 19 and a half hours. Plus, it's
Okay.
also her cost of living increase. She's part of the union.
Okay. That's fine. I'm just scribbling some notes down, so, because I'll never remember all of this. I have to go back and
Why we
and
haven't
redo it.
recorded.
I'm sorry, Emery, I missed that.
That's why we haven't recorded. You can go back and
Thank
check
you.
it whenever you want.
Technology at its finest.
Exactly.
Wow. Oh, okay. Anyway, under tax collector, same kind of question. I think I know the answer, but regular employees, the department wanted 55.9. Anne Marie, you've mentioned that you have it at 50,500.
Yes,
Same
because
type of
um,
timing.
no, we have the former the assistant tax collector resigned. So we will be bringing in somebody else, and she would be stepping out.
Yep.
She'd be coming in at a step 1, step 2, as opposed as leaving at a step 3.
Okay, hello. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I noticed reval under the assessor's office is out because it's moved to cap and non,
Mhm.
which is okay. Let's see, some other things. Under town operations building, and this may be a math function, I'm not sure. But regular employees salary, we have 3 down. Department request of 211,000. First Selectwoman, 188.9. Again, is that also people coming in at lower steps? Three
Yes.
people?
Yes, that is the seasonal people we included in there.
Okay.
Bringing in.
Oh, in the building department? Okay. Now, I would guess these are gonna be full-time people that are at the 188?
They're going to be full-time seasonal, correct? 4 full-time seasonal employees.
Okay. Oh, okay, as opposed to 3
Yes,
on that line?
yes.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious, full-time seasonal, I'm not sure I'm understanding. Is it regular, just they're hiring 4 people? Because when you think seasonal, you think just the summer or the winter months, or spring
Actually,
and summer, or fall and winter, or something like that.
we use the seasonal people throughout the year. When we hire them in for summer, it's helping maintain the landscaping, mowing, cutting, picking up trash, but also during the winter times, we're also using them to shovel snow when needed, as well as plowing. And now that the selectmen
Oh,
voted,
okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I get you. The term seasonal just fits in when they're working, not that they're gonna get laid off or cut after summer's over or winter's over or something like that. Okay. There's a $10,000 drop in repairs and maintenance under town buildings. I don't think that's horrific. Just going through some more. One thing, I noticed Boys and Girls Club. The ask was 15, but it came in at 5, Anne Marie,
they are no longer going to be in Seymour.
under, oh, okay.
They're leaving the community.
Well, that's good
center.
to know. Okay,
They decided not to open back up at the
okay,
community center in Seymour.
okay,
You're in my way.
all right. Let's see, under the PD, yeah, I understand the full-time salary adjustment. We talk about that every year because it always works out that way.
Yeah.
That the equivalent of one officer salary is always a minus.
Could I touch-
Overtime, I see.
Can I touch
Go
base
ahead.
on the crossing guards?
Sure.
On the crossing guards, it was brought up to me, and I have mixed emotions on this. I just want to put that out there. I have mixed emotions on this. On the crossing guard, we have the crossing guard at Chatfield LaPresti, and we have a crossing guard at Bungay School. And speaking with Chief Sikowski, he feels that we can get rid of the crossing guard at Chatfield LaPresti if we have every student bused on the Chatfield LaPresti side. Bungay, we couldn't because of Balance Rock. We have kids coming out of Balance Rock and they cross there. But I guess from what I was told, that there's only like 1 or 2 kids that use that crosswalk. And if we have every student picked up by bus, then we wouldn't need to have a crossing guard over there. I'm all for the safety of children, whatever going to be easier. But if we have buses that stop at every house,
No,
or stop in
and-
that area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Safety is paramount, but
Yeah.
if the buses are making the stops, then that may eliminate the walkers. And I know that issue with the crossing guards, especially at Chatfield LaPresti, has been talked about for the last few years anyway. So this the crossing guards that are in here are still one at Bungie and one at Chatfield La Presti. So
Yeah.
this hasn't been reduced, right?
No,
Okay. Let me pencil another note in here.
No. I said no.
Chatfield
No, you took me.
and Bungie. Okay, thank you. Yeah, overtime, we hope. That's a good number.
with the overtime, they increased their supernumeraries.
Education,
No.
yep,
So they increased their
No.
supernumeraries.
yeah,
and responsibilities.
they've asked for 20. I'm sorry, what?
So the police department increased their supernumeraries. The supernumeraries are supposed to help eliminate the overtime. And with the comp time put in place, we're also hoping that's going to eliminate some overtime as well.
Oh, no, agreed. I mean, and I enjoyed it very much when I did it, so I know the chief had mentioned it during his presentation on that. Education meetings and seminars, training. You've got a reduction down there from their number. What, just maybe briefly, what was canceled out on your part that they had in there?
On their training, we're not quite sure what the grant is gonna, they may be able to get some grant money for their training. So I went down, I went down on a little because of some of their training classes, they may be getting grant money for.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Now, again, just to refresh my possibly bad memory. Fire department has machinery and equipment capital of 35,000 that they've asked for. You have it down at 0, and that's because you've put their number in this year's capital budget.
Correct. But we took it,
Cap
so
and none?
they had a surplus this year. They wanted 2 pieces of equipment.
Yep.
They had a surplus of this year, so they're able
Yep.
to buy one of the pieces of equipment this year. And instead of having one, they have to share, I have it as, so they would have to share one piece of the equipment, and I took it out of the capital plan. It was just trying to figure out who we need. We need to get the body cams and the dash cams for the police department.
Absolutely.
And we have one extractor at one of the firehouses. If you look at the majority, I kind of looked at, well, citizens, accidents are on Route 8. So if it's a house that's citizens, or if the jars, I call them the jars of life, that's not what they're called. Or if it's at Great Hill, one of the firehouses have them instead of having duplicate pieces of equipment at both firehouses.
What's the cost of one Jaws? 17.5?
17.5,
Half of this 35?
yes.
Okay.
Now, the capital plan is not set in stone. The Board of Selectmen have to vote on the capital plan. And they may say, you know what, maybe we won't go with something with the Department of Public Health. Maybe we'll just put that 17.5 into the fire department, but the capital plan is set by the Board of Selectmen.
No, understood. And the funding obviously shows up in the cap and non-recurring general fund budget because that's who's paying for it.
Correct.
Okay, that's a good thing. Let's see. Over under Office of Building Compliance, under Development Code Enforcement, a part-time, they've asked for 20, you've asked for 15.6. Is that a case of timing again? Hiring somebody at a different period or a little later or a lower step?
They actually have part-time employees and they wanted to give them new hours and more hours, and we cannot give them more hours because that will make them full-time employees.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Again, same kind of thing under highway wages for 10 regular employees. They're at 741, you're at 719, about a $22,000 difference. Is that, again, people coming in at a lower step, different timing on it?
Yes.
Okay. I guessed that, but I wanted to get it from you before I made any assumptions. Now, what, I don't recall, and I'm sure hopefully maybe you do. Is the staffing at Public Works expected to go up? Are they bringing in one or two more people?
Not, besides the seasonal, no, plus we also have, well, maybe Tony may want to bring in one or two, he said. But we have to see where our needs are.
Okay. Good. Yeah, no, only because if they have 10 regular employees at 741, and we're back down to you're back down to 719, that's, that 22,000, does that mean one anticipated employee is not going to get hired?
No, it's more, we have, it's kind of tough because we're going to be starting contracts soon. Contract negotiations
Yep.
with the unions. So it's not meaning that one additional
Oh, okay.
hired.
Okay, so this is basically, I'm gonna guess and say essentially holding the line on DPW wages pending the contracts that settle up and things like that.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Of my,
Okay. Let's see, yeah, overtime snow plowing, that's always a fun number. Same thing with snow plowing materials, which obviously that's one of the expenses that if it absolutely has to take place, obviously the town would buy the materials, and certainly if we had to have them, we'd get them. It's not a problem. We've always been cautious about building into the budget if we don't need to, in anticipation, if we have a mild winter, we don't need as much. Trees, 100 down to 75. Any
We have money in Parks and
enlightenment to
Rec.
that?
Yep, we have money in Parks and Rec. So if we're tree trimming on the road, or if a lot of the trimming will be done and has been or will be done in Parks and Rec, we can use money in Parks and Rec's trees as well to maintain the property in Parks and Recs for the trees. And we're also holding Eversource accountable for cutting down the trees that they're supposed to cut down. A lot of the
All right.
trees we had to take care of, we're supposed to, and I use air quotes, supposed to be taken care of or maintained by outside contractors, and we're not.
Okay. You've explained about the garbage collection, which, there's nothing much we can do about anything about it. Looking under community service, the the rec service manager,
Yep.
the department has asked for 61. You're pretty much at the same budget amount it is.
Mhm.
Is it,
Zach is
is
a-
it the expect?
Zach is a union employee, and we just can't give raises.
Okay,
So he has to follow the
Okay.
union contract. That's why.
okay. Is there anything like, is his particular union's contract coming up for negotiation or not yet or something?
Not yet. For him to get the
Okay.
raise they want to get, we would actually he'd actually have to come out of the union, or we'd have to do a change of job duties. But we can't just give raises.
Okay,
That he has to follow the step processes.
no, understood. Nope, understood.
I don't understand any of it.
Is that the same situation also, Anne Marie, for the community services assistant?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, looking at parks, their tree service, they asked for 20, that's down to 15. So we're looking at a total in trees, I guess, of, let's see if I can add them up correctly, 75 and 15 is 90.
Mhm.
Is that a reasonable estimate, or should that look to be bumped up a little bit more?
I think that's a reasonable estimate. We've had a lot of storms these past couple of years that's taken down a lot of the trees. So I think that's a reasonable estimate.
Okay. And machinery, I had to make sure I'm not on mute. Machinery and equipment into parks 15 versus 0.
We'd move
Has that been picked up in cap?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, so we're also working with Eversource on tree removals as well. We met with their arborist, so they have a plan put in place to cut down some trees as well. So that's going to help defer the cost of the trees.
Oh, that sounds good. And then we'll bill them for private duty and collect in a timely manner, no doubt.
10-day
So
grace
it's a
period,
win-win.
just like your mortgage.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Let's see. The library under regular employees. Again, is this a union issue?
Yes. So with the library, it's a union issue, and we're not replacing one of the librarians. I think it's the children librarian we're replacing down the road. So that's also, we're just putting the money in there just for the step that the person's going to be coming into.
Okay. Okay, scribbling stuff down. So on health insurance, have we settled that so far?
What do you mean settle that so far in,
No, in terms of where, I thought I had heard you mention during your going through this, that we were in at 9 or 8.
we're at 8%. We put a 13% placeholder in
Okay.
and speaking with them, we got them down to 8%.
Wow, nice. So that would I think then, I guess what I'm looking at here is got 11% of an increase. Or is your number at 8% that's in here, Anne Marie? The 2,481,000?
The number you're looking at, Bill, that's the department request at 11%. So that's based on the department request.
No. I'm looking at 2,481,000 under the first Selectwoman's budget. Is that at 8%? That's the 8% number?
Oh, yes, that's the 8%. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. Just want to make sure we're clear about it. That's not too shabby. Okay. Police retirement, there's about a $41,000 difference between the two items. Between department and first Selectwoman.
Yeah, that had to do with the drop in salary. I believe she dropped it 90,000, and then there was a couple of other places like the deputy, and so that's what that is.
Wow. Those drops equated to 41,000?
Yes.
I would just ask that you go back and check that number. Just to make
Okay.
sure.
Yep.
Because the contribution rate on a police officer is what? 18 or 21%? Or is it higher?
It's 21%, I believe.
Okay. So if for a savings of 41,000, we'd be looking at roughly a $200,000 drop in salary, give or take a couple of dollars.
Okay.
So you might want to double check that. Because
Okay.
I don't recall seeing that kind of decrease for salaries in the PD budget. It may be there, and maybe, my eyes are playing tricks on me, and that's possible. Okay. All right. So I think does anyone on the board, have you come up with any questions at all that, since we've been going through these items, that maybe you want to ask Anne Marie or Doug or both? Anybody at all?
I have a question, Bill. Jim,
Go ahead, Jim. Yep.
town engineer on page 6. I was just curious, what's bulky waste landfill inspections?
Falls under their MSR inspections, which falls under their stormwater inspections, which falls under their Transfer Act inspections as well. Because they're a transfer station, they have to be inspected. So where they store their bulky waste or roll-offs, they have to be inspected.
Oh, for groundwater runoff, things like that?
Yes.
And what's purchased engineered services?
Purchase engineer services would,
For town engineer. It's underneath landfill inspections.
We have a contracted town engineer, Brian Risteriak, and this is for all the projects that we have going, especially for the roads.
Oh, it's for his engineering services. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else, anything to ask our first select woman on? Okay, well, what I think we want to do is we're obviously reconvening on Wednesday night. And what I'd like to do at that point is, prior to that, if everybody can please go through the questions that have come up during the deliberations and the answers that, Doug's put down. Please have any questions ready for Wednesday. And I'd like to take a swing through the budget again. I mean, these are a lot of what I've asked are just questions I came up with. And you all that are in the middle of this with me, you may, after looking at some of these numbers, hearing some of the responses, you may also come up with some questions that, whatever they may be, we can ask at that point in time, just to get an idea of what's what. Again, this is a workshop, so we're not officially passing anything or voting on anything tonight or Wednesday. But I think this is a good start. We've got a pretty good feel based off of an excellent presentation by our new first select woman, who was pretty thorough on what she went through. And I think what we want to do is we want to kind of digest all this and then, reconvene Wednesday at 7, same time, same channel. And kind of look at some of these numbers. Like I said, you all may come up with some questions at that time that, you haven't thought of yet. I may come up with some other stuff, and we'll go from there. Anybody have anything else? Anything at all? Nothing? Wow. Okay. Well, and Doug, if you can reprint the departmental stuff with the changes as far as moving line items over and things, and put page numbers on them, and get them out to us folks, so we'll have them for Wednesday. That would be much appreciated.
Okay.
All right, and we can go from there. Well, it's not a real meeting, so I don't know if we need a motion to adjourn, but I'll turn it over to Rich again for his favorite part of the session. If you'd like to
Yeah,
make a motion, Rich.
if you're entertaining motions, I'll motion to adjourn. Actually, it would be to reconvene on Wednesday.
That's fine. I just didn't want to disappoint you. We get a second for the reconvening? Anybody? Somebody?
I have a second, Jim.
Nobody?
Jim just seconded.
Knew we could count on you, Jim. All right. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstain? Thanks, everybody, for coming, and we'll get together again on Wednesday. Thanks.
Thank
Night,
you.
Betty Ann.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks. See you Wednesday.
Stay
Good night.
Yeah.